Here we go. Woo! The binge free express train is off. And I am so excited that you guys have joined me. For everyone watching this back as well, welcome. I'm buzzing for you to be here. And I hope that you're gonna enjoy this. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ellen. I am the founder of the Empowered Woman program, which is an online program that focuses on helping women stop binge eating. I've been helping women stop binge eating since 2018. I started off focusing on mostly nutrition, but I quickly learned that it's not really about the food. It's actually about so many other things. It's about the deeper level work, and that's why I wanted to create, a workshop like this, why I do what I do and how I get the results that I get, because I don't just focus on the food. I don't just focus on, restrictions or giving you a meal plan or anything like that. In fact, I'd say I focus on the opposite. And this is how I help women now stop binge eating in less than 6 weeks. So, my qualifications for those who are interested in that, I'm qualified in cognitive behavioral therapy, which is what I use the most when I'm coaching. Also, NLP, ACT, and nervous system specialist. So, I do a lot of somatic exercises as well with my clients, and I'm going to explain this to you guys as well in the workshop so that you can actually utilize these tools as well and understand why you can stop, or how you can stop binge eating so quickly. So I also have a podcast which is called the Unfiltered Empowered Woman podcast, and this I release an episode every Thursday. It's on Apple Podcast and on Spotify, so please feel free to go and have a look at that if you are enjoying this workshop. I do a lot of educating as well for Women's Fitness Academy, Women's Fitness Education, and a company called Leadology, and a lot of international guest speaking for other coaches, for other, education platforms, for basically anyone who wants to learn about behavioral science. So very grateful. I'd say that the doing workshops is one of my favorite things, favorite parts of the job. So welcome to the Binge Free Express. On this journey, we will stop at first introduction platform before we start to train. I'm gonna explain a little bit more about who I am and why I wanted to create this workshop, why I do what I do. And then we're gonna go to Binge Free Befriending Pavilion, where we're gonna talk about why you binged Christmas and what binge eating actually is. Step 2 is Silent Night Central, where we're going to talk about the nervous system, how to regulate, how to stay grounded, how to not act on that autopilot. Step 3 is the Food Freedom Express, what actually works to stop binge eating. No more meal plans or willpower, just tools that actually will work. In step 4, we will arrive at Binge Freeville, and you can claim your Christmas present, and don't forget your luggage full of tips and a binge free Christmas. I honestly had so much fun creating this workshop, and I hope it shows because, yeah, I was just thinking this is so smart and funny. So I hope that you guys also think it's real smart and funny. Yeah, make sure you stay until the end so I can give you a bonus valued over $3,000. So make sure you stay, guys. So my story then. A few of you already follow me, which is amazing. So you might already have a good idea of my story. But for those of you who don't, I definitely have not always been, the food freedom binge eating specialist that I am now, who, I live in Dubai, I go out for food all the time, and my body, I still stay in shape. But where my journey actually started was it started around when I was 14, 15 years old. And I just really wanted to lose a bit of weight to fit into, fit in school. I wanted to look good in my clothes. I wanted to be popular like the other girls. And it was just a way of like getting attention. And this quickly escalated into a full-blown eating disorder, which didn't stop because I just swapped my anorexia for binge eating after a while. It was like my body just couldn't do it anymore, and I just started binging instead. And my binge eating was very secretive, as it always is. And I think one of the reasons why we don't get help for our binge eating is because for a lot of us, it didn't really, it doesn't show as much on the body. If you have anorexia, you'll probably be really, really, really skinny. Or if you're, very obese, it will show. But I was really good at restricting during the week. So I would binge all weekend. I would literally wake up every single Monday with a food hangover. I'd spend Monday to Thursday just restricting, training 2, 3 times a day, searching what is the best diet that I can do now? Like, can I do keto? Can I be vegetarian? Can I cut out gluten? Can I do, macros or whatever it was? And it worked for a little bit until I would hit another little roadblock and be like, oh, fuck it, I'm just gonna binge now. It got so bad that I was literally lying to everyone around me. I would be lying about what I'd eaten that day. I'd be lying about where the food in the apartment had gone that day. Like if my ex-partner would come home and be like, "Where's the chocolate?" I'd be like, "I have no idea," because I'd be hiding the wrappers in the bin or put it in a neighbor's bin just so that no one would know because it's secret. It's shameful. And I remember I used to buy loads of sweets or chocolate or ice cream or chips or whatever, like any kind of foods I would get my hands on. And then I would cancel on my friends. So even if I had plans on the weekends, I would still cancel on my friends to stay at home and eat because for me, binge eating felt more fun than hanging out with my friends. And I remember going on family holidays and especially like Christmas and being so stressed about going to these events because in my mind I was like, well, I'm just gonna binge the whole time. Or I would either go into with that mindset or I would go into with the mindset of I'm not gonna I'm gonna restrict, this is not gonna happen this time, I'm gonna be really good. But it would only take one little thing. Like I'd eat one thing that wasn't on my super, super, super strict plan, and that would be enough to just derail me and just go, ah, screw it. And this kept going for years because I just kept focusing on the food. I just keep focusing on, okay, how can I have more willpower? How can I use the willpower that I have in the gym and use that to my food and stop doing this behavior? And it never stopped because the problem wasn't about food and it wasn't about willpower. It was so much deeper than that. The moment that it all changed for me was when I was working at a coffee shop and I used to close the coffee shop. And if you ever worked in a cafe, you throw out all the bakery at the end of the day. And I remember, oh, it's embarrassing to tell, but I literally took all the croissants that were in the window, threw them in the bin, and then I was like, no, I have to, like, I want to eat them. Like, I want to binge on them. It was like a binge eating monster just took over me. And I literally took the croissants out of the bin, started eating them. I turn around and there's a freaking customer that's walked in. Like, just thinking of that, like, my whole body is just like, oh, the shame that I felt in that moment. And that's when I realized that I need help. I cannot keep doing this. So I started doing the inner work and I stopped, going to nutrition plans because that they didn't work. If they would have worked, I would have stopped binge eating a long time ago. I did the inner work, I understood my body, understood my nervous system, I understood why I was binge eating and how I could actually prevent acting on the urge. And this is how I was able to drop the weight. I don't have cravings anymore. I don't track my food. I haven't binged since 2018. And honestly, my body weight doesn't change. Like if you followed me for a long time, I went to Italy over the summer, I went to Sweden, I've traveled all over the world, and my body is just the same because it now feels safe like this, and it doesn't feel the need to constantly be going up and down and yo-yo dieting. I don't restrict and I don't go overboard. I just eat in moderation. And you can too, and I'm going to teach you how. So before we get into that, I just wanted to talk about one of my clients, Carrie, who came to me because she wants to stop binge eating, which is basically why they come to me. But the reason she was binge eating wasn't that she didn't have willpower. Like she thought it was about willpower, but once we started working together, we realized it was about something much deeper. It was about her not feeling enough, her people pleasing, her constantly being anxious and overwhelmed and feeling like she couldn't do enough for the people around her. And she actually said to me that she got more out of the program than any therapy she's ever tried in the past. And she'd been going to therapy for years. She now feels regulated and calm, and she has no cravings. So, first stop, the binge preventing pavilion. First of all, I just want to say congratulations to all of you on the workshop or if you're watching this back, because you have just given yourself the best Christmas present that you could have ever given to yourself. A binge for Christmas. Like, what could be better than that? By signing up to this workshop, you're already so far ahead of the 2024 version of you. You know, if you think about Christmas last year, if you were binge eating, feeling guilty, stressing, this year, you're already ahead of that because you realize that you have a problem and you want to fix it. You've accepted that you deserve better and that you can't break this alone. You want to feel in control this Christmas and stop eating, your kids' Christmas cookies, being able to say no to when your auntie's like, oh, come on, just have a little bit more. Or, grandma saying, why are you not eating the chocolate that I made for you? You can now stop eating when you're full and you can stop obsessing over calories and actually be able to just be present and enjoy your Christmas holidays without having to get to January starting over and wasting all this money on another challenge that you're not going to stick to long term anyway. So I want to take a moment for you to reflect on your own journey. What do you think Christmas will look like if you don't do anything about your relationship to food? How do you see your Christmas plan out? Do you see yourself binge eating, stressing about food, not being present? Like, what do you think will happen for you if you don't actually change your behavior? I know for me, like I said before, I would go into Christmas with just anxiety. I wasn't even excited. I was excited about binge eating, but I had so much anxiety about, people finding out that I was binging. I would leave the table and go into the kitchen, like where they put all the dishes, and literally eat from the plates, or sneak out in the middle of the night and go downstairs to my mom's kitchen and eat the leftovers that was in the fridge. And just always had to be so secretive about my behavior and waking up feeling guilty, like getting to January and just feeling like I've just undone all my progress in this month. And I know Christmas is hard and holidays are going to be harder. There's so much more temptation, there's less routine, and mostly that expectation that you should eat things. How many of you haven't heard that, oh, like, come on, just have a little bit, like have some more. It's Christmas. Come on, you deserve it. It's only Christmas once a year. Basically forcing you to eat things that you don't even want. Or how many times have you even said that? Oh, it's fine, it's Christmas. But then Christmas isn't just that one day, then Christmas turns into a whole December. So I want to know, pop it in the chat. What are you most worried about for this Christmas? And this will also really help me understand what it is that you're struggling with so I can more tailor the workshop towards that. So 1 is family forcing me to eat. 2 would be losing control around food. And 3 would be ruining all my progress that I've had over the year. So pop a number in the chat. Losing control. Yeah. Losing control. Yeah. Very normal. For me, it was always about ruining all my progress. That was like the biggest one that I was always stressing about, like, oh, I'm gonna ruin everything that I've done this year. So this is my client, Cassie, or she's not my client anymore, but she used to be my client. And she was someone who was also a coach like me. And she was even a mindset coach. And she felt like such an imposter. I remember when she called me, she said she wanted help, but she's like, I'm so scared because I'm a mindset coach, but I just can't help myself. And I'm telling my clients to eat in a certain way, but then I'm not doing it. She was binging post-show and she tried it herself for 6 months, but she wasn't getting any better. In fact, she was getting worse and she was just gaining more and more weight. When she signed up to the program, she stopped binging within 6 weeks. And she sent me this message 6 months after finishing the program. Still binge free, has dropped the weight, and is now maintaining her new low body weight. This is possible for you too. So before we get into the strategies, I really want to explain the difference between overeating and binge eating, because understanding this is really going to help you have a bit more compassion for yourself. So if we look at overeating, this is something we all do. And it's completely normal. And, it's not a bad thing. It's something that is, we all do it. And overeating is when we eat a little bit extra For example, you go back for an extra serving every now and then. It's not all the time, but if you do it every now and then, like let's say for someone's birthday or for, only on Christmas or only like a couple of times on your holiday or whatever it is. It's saying yes when you're full. So, let's say you're going out for dinner with your friends and you're really full, but then your friends are like, should we go for ice cream? And you say yes. That's overeating. You can still be present in conversations when you're overeating. This is when you're still sitting there chatting and having fun and just enjoying your food. And it's something we all do. It feels controlled and, it doesn't necessarily lead to weight gain if it only happens every now and then. But obviously, if it happens more regularly, then it's something that you do need to address. Binge eating doesn't start off with, a 10,000 calorie binge and then all of a sudden you're a binge eater. It starts off with that overeating that's only supposed to happen every now and then, becoming something that happens multiple times per week, leading to you beating yourself up, leading to you gaining weight, leading to you feeling more and more out of control. That's when it becomes a problem. I think the biggest difference between binge eating and overeating is how you feel before, during, and after. So before a binge, it's like you get this hyper focus of like, I just want to eat this food. And I don't care what it's going to take for me to get it. I don't care if I'm going to have to drive across town or if I have to get, leave my kids in the car or if I'm going to spend $200 on this. I don't care. I just need to eat it. I can't think of anything else. And then when you're eating it, it's like autopilot's taken over. And like, you shouldn't do it, but you just can't stop yourself. And then after, it's always followed by this intense feeling of guilt and shame and like, why did I do this? It's a loss of control. It's lying about what you eat. This is not something that you tell people like, yeah, yesterday I had 4 blocks of chocolate and Ben and Jerry's and a pizza. Like binge eating is something that we're ashamed of because it is an addiction, just like alcohol. Usually leads to weight gain or maybe restrictions. Like for me, I didn't gain that much weight. I still gained 15 kilos, but with everything that I was eating, I should have gained more. It was just that I literally wouldn't eat for like a couple of days after because I was just so stuck in that binge or sick cycle. Feelings of shame, feelings of guilt, and feeling like you're a failure. And it's so normal to feel like this. Like every single woman that come to me feels like I've tried it all, like what's wrong with me? And there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that you haven't tried the right strategy yet. So why do you binge? And take note now, because now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. Binge eating is a survival mechanism. And this probably sounds weird, but I'm going to explain it. It all starts with a trigger. So for Christmas, we might be looking at triggers like, you come home, your auntie's like, oh, you look like you put on a bit of weight or you gotten a bit rounder. Your grandma might be asking questions if, are you really going to eat that extra serving? Like, geez, you've already had 2. Like, are you really going to have 3? It could be that your kids are crying and say that you're a bad mom because they didn't get the gift that they wanted. Maybe you have a fight with your partner because you're both stressed from the holidays and feeling like you have to run around everywhere and family drama and feeling like you can't spend enough time with both sides of the family. Maybe your mom is making you feel guilty for saying no to her Christmas pudding. Maybe you see your friends on Instagram working out while you've just been sitting at home all week. For those of you in Australia, maybe you feel really guilty because you don't want to go to the beach in a bikini because you've just spent 4 days of eating. These triggers, they're actually representing something much, much deeper. Triggers are just the surface thing that we can see. All of these stories that I just told you, they trigger something deeper in you. It's not just about your auntie saying that, oh, you look like you put on weight, or your kids saying that that you're a bad mom, or the people on Instagram, or anything like that. These triggers represents an inner story that you have created about who you are. This is something we call a limiting belief, a core wound. The most common core wound is the story that I'm not good enough. We also have, I'm a failure, I'm not beautiful, I'm unlovable, I'm not worthy, I'm not smart. What is the story that you're telling yourself? So I want you to imagine, let's say that you step on the scale this week and you haven't lost weight. What is the thought that comes when you do that? Is it I'm not good enough? Is it I'm a failure? Is it I can't do this? I can't do hard things. I always fail. What is it? Because that's what the real work actually is. This then triggers a fear of, oh my God, I'm going to be stuck here forever. I'm never going to change. For a lot of people who are single, it might be, I'm never going to meet someone. No one's ever going to find me attractive. Or it might be my partner is going to leave me, or my kids are going to think I'm the worst one ever. Everyone's going to judge me. It triggers some kind of fear. And because you don't know how to sit with that fear and how to sit with that thought and change that, you take action. Because if you look back throughout your whole life, when have you ever been able to sit with that uncomfortable feeling of, I'm not good enough, or I'm not beautiful, or my parents love my siblings more than me, or my parents favorize that sibling, or they're not proud of me, or they're never home, or whatever it is. When have you ever been able to sit with that? I can almost guarantee that you probably run from that your whole life. And you found other ways to distract yourself from actually feeling. This could be eating, daydreaming, playing video games, acting out like being the rebellious child. But if we then look at the food, taking action in this moment, what is that confirming? Well, it just confirms the belief that I'm not good enough because you just ate all that food. This then triggers that guilt of, oh my God, like, why can I never do anything right? What's wrong with me? Why do I keep doing this? And that triggers anxiety, which is, when we look into the future and look at, okay, how can I fix this so that doesn't happen again? So if you don't have the tools, you're probably going to go into, I'm going to restrict till I'm done hating myself, or I'm going to go on this diet, or I'm going to lose this weight, or I'm going to go on this meal plan, I'm going to train, or whatever it is, until I'm done feeling like this. But you didn't actually change the story, and you didn't change the action. You didn't change anything. And this is why you stay stuck in this cycle. When you're around family, we tend to go back to the roles we play in childhood. This is where you develop those core beliefs about yourself. For example, I'm not good enough. I'm the fat sibling. I'm not beautiful. I always fail. This is what's actually making you binge. Because when we experience trauma, we create these core wounds. And trauma, before you go, oh, trauma, it's not, I don't have trauma. Trauma isn't about what happens to you. It's about what's happening on the inside. And if you've experienced that, for example, maybe you felt like your dad wasn't proud of you, that you always had to work really hard, that the only times you ever felt seen growing up was when you were being a good girl. Well, then you might start to develop a belief that I'm not good enough as I am. I need to constantly change myself or prove myself in order to get that validation. So anytime then in your adult life that something triggers that belief that I'm not good enough, you're going to react. Because that wound that was created in childhood is triggered. So you go back to acting and feeling as you were when you were, 8 years old. That's why you feel so painful when someone says, oh, why didn't you do it this way? Or, you shouldn't have done that, or that person did it better, or why did you only come second, or why did you only, sign this many people, or whatever it is. It's not about what's happening right now. It's about what story did that just trigger for you. When we talk about trauma is something that we all have. And it's not just about, like I said, it's not just about abuse and neglect and someone dying or car accidents and stuff like that. Yes, that's trauma as well. But trauma, what it actually is going through a painful situation, feeling pain. For example, feeling like my parents don't love me, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not beautiful, I'm not as good as that person, or I always fail. Going through that and that feeling alone with that. That's what creates trauma, because that means that you feel like I need to deal with this myself. I can't ask for help. I can't speak up. I don't want to be too much. it's my fault. I need to change in order to be better for them to accept me. That's what creates trauma. So, how do we then work through this? Well, we're going to talk about it in the Silent Night Central. Because trauma isn't just about the story that you're creating in your mind. Trauma is also about what happens in your nervous system. So I like to look at the nervous system as a ladder, and I'm sure everyone can relate to fight or flight. Everyone knows what that is. So if you look at the nervous system like a ladder, at the top we have a regulated state. This is where you are right now, when you're listening to me, you're paying attention, you feel safe. There's nothing really that's crazy going on right now. Under there, we have a fight or flight state. This is when we feel reactive. This is where we might feel anxiety. This is where we feel a lot of emotions. This is the doing state of the nervous system, where your body still feels like it can do something about the danger. So in the past, back in the day, that might have looked like you can still run away from the tiger or you can fight it. But in this day and age, it might be that your boss says, oh, that wasn't good enough, like you did something wrong, or calls you into the office, and you feel like, oh shit, like, oh my God, what's he gonna say? Am I gonna get fired? Well, how can I fix this? And you go into, okay, I need to work hard, I need to do more, I need to create more, I need to be better. And your mind is like, how can I fix this problem? Below there, we have, right at the bottom, we have a state called fawn, which is the oldest part of our nervous system, where we completely numb out. This part of our nervous system was created for us to feel safe, for us to not have to feel the pain. So it was created for, think of a zebra getting attacked by a lion. It needs to go into that fawn state to kind of leave the body and not feel all of that pain of being eaten. This is the same thing that's happening to your body when you completely numb out and you disassociate. It's when the body feels like there's so much emotion going on right now, there's so much pain, and emotional pain can hurt just as bad as physical pain, especially if you have ADHD. So your body will put you there because it's like, I don't know how to deal with all this pain. I don't know what to do. And this is where people, go into depression. In between fawn and fight or flight, we have a state called freeze, which doesn't get talked about a lot, but this is where most people tend to binge. This is where we have it's a mix, equal parts of fight or flight and fawn. So equal parts of loads of energy at the same time as having that shutdown. So it's basically like you're running on a treadmill, but you have someone pull you back. It's that feeling of like, I have to, but I can't, and I have to, but I can't. When you have 50 different tabs open, but you're like, I don't even know where to start. And you get so overwhelmed that you just shut down. It's the same state that, when you're driving your car in a deer runs out on the road and it just stops. You're like, move. That's what happens. It freezes because it's like, I have so much to do, but I cannot get anything done. And this is where a lot of people go, this is too much right now. I can't deal with it. I'm just going to eat. That feels better. Because eating is actually a way for us to regulate. Because it triggers the brake in our nervous system called the parasympathetic state. It triggers the brake and relaxes us in that moment. So if you're stuck in fight or flight, or if you're stuck in freeze, or even fawn, your body's going to go, okay, well, how can we fix this? How can we get out of here? Because your body doesn't want to be stuck there forever. It wants to feel regulated. It wants to feel safe. You'll eat, but because you didn't actually fix the problem, you go straight, as soon as you finish eating, you go straight back to whichever state of your nervous system you're at. And most people have one state that they feel more comfortable in, which is kind of like your safe zone. And this is probably the state that you spent most of the time of your childhood. Were you? Were you someone who was always very reactive as a child? Were you someone who was always, very anxious? Were you someone who was shutting down? Were you someone who was completely dissociated? Because that's where your nervous system now reckons that you need to be safe. So what does this look like in real life scenarios? In a fight situation, this for Christmas, this might look like Why does everyone have to comment on my plate, on my body? I swear, like if one more person tells me to just have one, I'm going to lose it. I'll show them I don't care and I'll eat whatever I want. So food then becomes a way to prove your independence or take control when you're feeling that you're getting attacked. If we then look at the flight, this is where, anxiety, avoidant, restless. This might look like, I feel so uncomfortable in my body around everyone. I just want to leave this table, but I can't. Maybe I'll sneak into the kitchen later and eat by myself. At least then I won't feel so judged. Food then becomes like an escape hatch when your body feels trapped in that stressful situation. For freeze, you might look like, oh my God, there's so much food. I don't even know where to start. Should I eat now? Later? What if I binge? Oh, I can't deal with this. I'll just go away and I'll grab whatever's in front of me. So that overwhelm and indecision, so the combination of the two states, autopilot, binge, and you switch off. And phone, I don't want to eat dessert right now, but if I say no, they'll make it awkward, so I'm just gonna eat it. I don't want to be the difficult one. I'll deal with the guilt later, whatever, I can't fix it. And food is used to keep the peace, avoid conflict and push down your true feelings. Whenever you're in a survival state, your willpower or logic is literally locked up. This is called an amygdala hijack. An amygdala is the part of your brain that's responsible for your anxiety. It's basically like the fire alarm. It's like danger, danger, danger. And if that's saying there's a fire, your logical mind turns off because your brain believes that you need to act from a place of survival. It's like you getting chased by a lion right now. Even though our external world has changed so much, your nervous system is the same. So it's not going to matter if it's a tiger chasing you or your kid screaming in your ear that you're not a good enough mom. You're still going to have the same reaction in your body. And this is why you can't willpower your way into change. And this is why you can't just calm down when you're feeling anxious. Your state dictates your story. So what this means is if you are stuck in a fight or flight or freeze or fawn, your story, so what you're saying to yourself, is going to be based off of that. And this is why we need to look at the body first to break free from self-sabotage. Otherwise, you will keep going back to doing that thing that you said you wouldn't, because when survival takes over, you're just going to act out of instinct and you're just going to do what you've always done because your body doesn't care that you're gaining weight. Your body just wants you to stay alive. And if you're still alive, then why would it change this behavior? You're not broken. You have just been using the wrong recipe. Kind of like trying to make gingerbread cookies using a recipe for sourdough. And this will just lead to you being disappointed. You'll feel like a failure and you'll get frustrated with yourself. But you're not broken. You're just stuck in a survival state. Your body doesn't know how to react. Your body doesn't know what to do. And it's been taught through probably years and years of doing this that food is something that makes you feel better in that moment. Because it does. Of course it does. But that doesn't mean that it's the only way to act. So what we need to do is we need to change how you act. We need to regulate your body and then change the story that's in your mind. So this is what happens when you keep using the wrong recipe. You'll crush your workouts, but still end up binging at night. Promising that you're going to start again in January, but you're still feeling like an imposter. You probably eat pretty good for a little bit of December and then go, oh, well, I've ruined it anyway, so I might as well binge and I'll start again next month. And you get to January feeling like shit, gain weight, feeling like, what the hell, like I promised this year would be different. You'll scroll past perfect bodies on Christmas bodies, feeling like you're not good enough and turn to food for comfort because that loneliness or stress is just too much for you. You'll try to earn your Christmas treats, but restriction is something that always backfires. This is why you're going to feel like you're going to have to start over again in January. Because no matter how much you train or how much you restrict, those Christmas treats always come back and get you. But if you use the right recipe, This is what will happen. So if you actually learn these tools, this is how you'll feel. You'll be able to enjoy your Christmas and enjoy the food without guilt. You stop when you're satisfied, not stuffed, not super full, not, to the point of like you have so much anxiety and so full that you can't move. And you'll actually wake up proud next day. You'll feel good in yourself. You feel like you have control over your food. You'll handle the holiday stress without turning to food. Yes, it's stressful. Yes, there's shit going on because that's life. But you can still create your own bubble of calmness, and you have other tools to use in these moments when you feel stressed. You don't have to turn to food every single time. And you can feel in control instead of feeling constantly overwhelmed. You find balance. You can enjoy a bit of cookies. You can put the cookie down when you don't feel like it anymore. You can have some Christmas food, but you don't have to finish your whole plate. You can put it back if you don't need it anymore. You don't need to be stuck in an all or nothing mindset anymore, where if you have one cookie, you have to eat the whole jar. You can just have one, that's enough for me. And then you can have salad, you can have steak, doesn't matter for you. Because food is no longer at the top of your mind. Food is just food. And you can start January with peace and not go into January feeling like, okay, I have to undo all this work now, or all this stuff that happened over Christmas. You can actually feel proud of yourself. And that's what I want for you. So with that, what would Christmas look like if you did have balance around food? Reflect on that. What would it feel like to feel free in your body? If you felt peaceful around food and you had peace in your mind, you felt calm, you'd be creating memories with your family, feeling in control around food, feeling good in your body, feeling happy with yourself, just waking up on Christmas morning and being excited to see everyone, like just spending time with them and just building memories. Like coming from someone who struggled with binge eating for 10 years and ruined 10 Christmases, honestly, like that Christmas when I finally felt good, I'll never forget it. Like I remember so much of that Christmas because I was actually there. I was present. I wasn't thinking about food like all the other Christmases. And you can achieve this too. So let's compare the two stories. What the first one that you felt, the guilt, the anxiety, the stress. You don't have to live like that. How different is the first story from the second one? How different do you feel? Like, can you see the quality of your life improving? Not just yours, but the people around you. They finally get the version of you that's present, that's there, that's actually engaging in conversation, not thinking about food all the time. That's what you want. And that brings me to the fourth stop, binge-free will. These women thought that they'd never be able to stop binging. And I'm sure so many of you are in the same boat. You feel like you've tried it all, you've tried every single, nutrition program and everything like that, and every, therapist or ebook or podcast, but you haven't tried the Empowered Woman. And these women struggle with binge eating for years. But since working with me, they've gotten this under control. And you can do this as well. The Empowered Woman is for women who are ready to stop binge eating and finally start seeing results from all your hard work. This program will take you from feeling lost and out of control around food and your life to actually feeling empowered, confident, and actually get results that you deserve from all your hard work. And I'm not just talking about in the gym, guys. Like I'm talking about attracting your dream partner, your work going better, building stronger relationships, feeling better within yourself, like actually feeling like you're controlling your life, that life is not just throwing shit at you all the time. This unique 12-week method has been trialed by thousands of women, and it is a blend of one-on-one group coaching and educational modules. And honestly, this program is going to help you stop binge eating. This is what's going to help you feel at peace around food this Christmas. So to take you through my method, The first 4 weeks are all about creating quick wins so that you can stop the cycle before the holiday spirals out of control. Today's the 19th of November. That means we can still get you binge free before Christmas because that's like 4 weeks away. So this is where you will use my binge breaker blueprint, which is a few modules and workbooks to end that. This is the last binge before January. And this is going to work for you. You'll fast track your progress, you'll build momentum and have that accountability with me and the group that you need to go into Christmas binge free and in control. After that, the binging is going to be behind you. And it's time to reset your metabolism and go deeper. You probably spent years and years of yo-yo dieting, so your nervous system will be all over the place, and your metabolism probably won't be that great. So we'll unpack what drives that all or nothing mindset that shows up every Christmas, the perfectionism, the I'll start fresh on Monday, and your anxiety around food. And this is what's going to help reset all of these things. And you'll be able to reset your metabolism and your nervous system after years of binging and restricting your food, and therefore creating safety in your body. You'll use the somatic approach to regulate your nervous system, get out of fight or flight or freeze or fawn in a healthy way. The last few weeks, we will work on the mind and body freedom. And by now, you'll have the tools to handle your cravings and stress. Christmas parties, leftovers, stuff like that doesn't feel like a trap anymore. And you'll be able to enjoy the food that you love without feeling guilty. You can regulate yourself. And when that stress hits, because, like I said, life is stressful sometimes, you can watch your new mindset be reflected in your body composition and consider the binge weight gone. Because food is not easy. Eating out is fun, and you carry that piece with you into the new year. And there's no more starting over in January. You will not fail this. 87% of my clients stop binge eating within 6 weeks. 10% stop at week 8, and the remaining 3 stop at week 10 or 12. Why would you be any different? Any of my clients can agree with this. I am so invested in your journey. I'm probably more excited about your binge recovery than you are. All of these women follow the steps of the program, and they all stop binge eating before the 12-week mark. You're not broken. You just haven't tried what's working. This is what's going to work. Take Rihanna. She had tried everything to stop binge eating. She even went to binge eating specialist, in her hometown. Didn't help. Starts the program, stops binge eating. Amy, someone who felt like an imposter because she was a fitness coach and kept telling her clients one thing but doing the other herself, and she stopped after just 2 sessions. Bailey was a model who gone to therapy for years but without seeing any progress. After the Empowered Woman, she stopped binge eating, dropped the weight, and she's been able to maintain it, and especially in an industry like that. That is difficult. And she's done amazing. And I know what you're going to say. I want to save money for Christmas, and I get it, of course. But this is exactly why you need to join. To stop spending your hard-earned money on binge foods and instead spend them on yourself and your family. Do you really want to spend another Christmas binge eating, feeling bad in your body, not being present, when you could be spending that money on actually recovering? This is the best Christmas present that you could ever give yourself. So I'm going to give you guys an exclusive workshop only offer. Normally, I charge $129, that's meant to say $250 a week for this program, but I'm going to give it to you for just $79. If you join within the next 48 hours, I'm also going to give you a month free. That's a whole month free coaching. If you join within the next 24 hours, if you join within the next 24 hours, you get 1 month free and a bonus one-on-one call with me, valued at $300. And the last bonus, if you join within the next 24 hours and you pay in full, which is only $948, you get 2 months free and an extra one-on-one call with me. This is something that I've never done before, and I normally don't ever do this, but I just want to be able to give back. And I know how much this is going to help you. So this workshop offer that is only available to people on the workshop is for the busy woman who doesn't have time or need for as much one-on-one support. You don't have the time to be messaging me every single day on WhatsApp or to do calls with me every single week. Honestly, having that one call with me is going to be enough to stop binging. You'll also have the weekly group calls for ongoing coaching and support. So we do a mix of coaching with me, workshop styles, and we also have guest speakers coming. Like we have a breathwork facilitator coming in December. She's amazing, and loads of other things like that. You have 24/7 group chat access to women who are in the same boat as you. Women, some of the women have been with me for years, not because they're binge eating, but just because they enjoy the process so much. They will always be online to be able to help you. I'm in the group chat as well. And there is just such a nice community to be a part of where people actually care. And you can break that shame cycle of, oh, I'm the only one struggling with this. You also have one-on-one support with me in our private app community and an education portal with over 80 videos on binge eating, nervous system regulation, manifestation, empowered eating, cold plunging, triggering, like shadow work, anything that you can imagine for self-development. Like I've literally taken everything that I've learned, over 30K worth of studies and put it into this portal. And I'm constantly updating it because I'm just always learning more things. And like I said, just for the people in the workshop, this is only going to be $79 a week, which is the cheapest I've ever given my program since I launched the Empowered Woman. A binge for Christmas and feeling in control around food and not having to start again in January, it's possible. And it starts today with saying yes. Imagine yourself stepping into January, feeling like the happiest you've ever felt, having a peaceful and present Christmas, no binge eating, no weight gain, just making memories with your family and just, looking back at this Christmas as, wow, that was my first binge-free Christmas. I finally did it. I finally was able to stop binge eating. And I'm so proud of myself. And you can get there before Christmas for just $79 a week or $9.48 up front. And I know it sounds like an investment, but guys, you think of all the money you wasted on binge foods over the years. This is going to help you break it for good. Thank you so much for coming to this workshop. I'm going to pop the links in the group chat. So if you want to sign up now, you can just click those links. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or pop them in the chat box and I will answer them for you. But I just want to say thank you so much for everyone who joined. I hope that you enjoy the workshop. Yeah, I'd love to know if anyone has any questions about anything. Love it. You're so welcome. Glad that you enjoyed it. Thank you for coming. So just a reminder that signing up now, I'll go back to the bonus page. Signing up now, within the next 24 hours, you'll get the bonus one-on-one call with me. If you sign up after that, I will not be able to give it to you. So sign up now, you get for only $79, you get a month free and a bonus call. You can also get 2 months free if you choose the pay in full option. So I popped all the links in the group chat. If you need any other help, let me know. You are so welcome. I'm so glad that you liked it and that you found it helpful. Cool. Well, I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. I want to say thank you again for coming and I wish you a very Merry Christmas. Hopefully I see you in the inside of the program. If you have any questions about anything, obviously my Instagram is always open. If you don't know, it's Ellen Grandstrand or the Empowered Woman. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have on there. But yeah, thank you so much and hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.